An exciting day, and it starts where it started, and that was with Buster and Coach Martin. The day was about those two, and I wanted to have a good game, no doubt, and we hope to have that more times than not when we step out here. But Buster's just an amazing person, and career-wise here, it's remarkable what he did in that year. That I think it's got to go down as one of the most productive years in the history of college baseball. And then to leave here, and I mean, all of the statistics and all of the awards, he's practically done it all. And the 3 world championships and the 2 comeback players of the year and a 7-time All-Star. It's amazing. But his being down to earth and humble and just like he was when he was here is what stands out to me as much as any of the accolades, and those are clearly world-class, and he's a world-class guy. Kristen was here and his kids, and I hope they enjoyed that day. It was really special for our program, and I know Coach Martin enjoyed being with Buster and seeing that and taking in the crowd in a beautiful day. So that day, before we ever threw a pitch, was about them. And their numbers are side by side on that building, and they were side by side here. And those are moments you'll never forget.
And just a great crowd and great weather, and you guys got off to a great start.
It was perfect. Like, you had 75 degrees, sunny, and you couldn't ask for better conditions to play. And that sellout crowd and the energy and the excitement, that leads you into the first inning. And games are won in entirely different fashions, forms. Today it was really won in the first inning. And then Wyatt was great. The stuff was great. And he'll tell you, I'm sure, like some of the early leadoff batters that I think he hit Sky and put some other guys on base, but he pitched his way right out of it and punched out 10 people in 6 innings and was in control, fielded his position. The stuff was clearly very good, and that was the idea. After the way it went, I think last Sunday, it made logical sense to try to just let him start, because he essentially started last Sunday. It just began in the 3rd inning. He started in the 3rd inning. So there he was today. And offensively, Mosley, their starting pitcher, he adjusted and settled, and it could have very easily gotten away from him. And he kept pitching, and he was commanding multiple pitches, moving his fastball in and out. And we'll go back and look at the video of it. But he gave us trouble, and not to the tune of a bunch of strikeout trouble, but poor contact. He pitched really good. It was a good ball game, and it came down to the very last pitch.
When a guy like Wyatt gets the bases loaded, no outs, and then he gets 2 punch outs and ground out to end it, what does that say about him?
Well, we talk about, number one, self-contained relief. If you want to extend outings, you have to self-contain your own performance as a reliever. Like, you can be your own reliever, and that's what he did. Like, he relieved himself of the problems. The stuff obviously gives him that advantage, but you can see him tighten the screws a little bit in some of those moments, and he did that today. And to have the savvy, I think that was the inning where he actually flipped the last out to the catcher. You don't see it very often. Clearly, it was the right play, and he made a couple other nice plays fielding his position. So the toughness, you see that stuff, and then you see somebody dial it up, and there's some toughness there, and that's why he's who he is.
The reverse, I guess, of Wyatt. Jamie, I know the bullpen's kind of giving you some big outings in the last 2 nights. How's it nice? Seems like he's taken to that role fairly well.
Yes, he bounces back and he wants to pitch. And Chuck and I talked about it all day. Like, the first time you have to throw back-to-back days in this competitive setting is unique, and I don't know that he's ever done that. So every moment for some of these guys is a learning event, and that was one today. And whether we hung on too long to try to let him go, but you see him sometimes reach back and there's a little more, and it was nice to see his eagerness and desire to go back out there back-to-back days. Now, he only threw 6 pitches last night, but he was up for a while, and you're not throwing 6 pitches in a 10-1 game. Like, you're throwing 6 very important pitches, so it's been good to see him.
You mentioned Wyatt, his ability to get off the mound. Just how special is his athleticism for a pitcher?
It's huge, and it doesn't always impact your outing, but as the time goes by and you're out there more and more, fielding your position does come up. And he navigated some awkward plays, and he's so quick, like that one ball he caught, and he ran it over there and flipped it. I think sometimes pitchers, as they've thrown, their dimension of throwing is this way, and then when you have to make a different throw to a base, sometimes it can be a little awkward because you haven't done that all day. And he's great. Hard to run on him. I mean, he's 1-1 to the plate, 1-1-5, so it's hard to run. He just doesn't give you a lot of wiggle room. And he's center fielder, so you got an athletic center fielder pitching. So the stuff we do in practice every day to try to get the pitchers running around and moving around, throwing to the bases, we hope that adds to the athleticism of everybody, and he clearly brings a lot to the table from ground zero.
What makes that slider so good? I think most of his Ks came on that pitch today.
Man, it's hard to pick up the spin, and there's no change really in the release of how he throws it. So you're not getting any cue that this is not a fastball. And that's what makes an off-speed pitch a weapon. If you can pick something up, whether it's really early, that would be easy to detect. But even spin or something in the last 20, 30 feet, then there's something that you can cue in on that tells you it's not a fastball. There's really not anything there with his slider. And we tried to get to the changeup today a little bit. He's got a good changeup, but the fastball slider combo was clearly working. And it's a dynamic pitch. It's got depth and it's got some horizontal movement. So it checks all the boxes slider-wise.
Knowing you've got Armstrong in the pen to finish it out today, and then also having him available for tomorrow, I mean, what does that do for your team?
We definitely need him. That's what I mean. We've kind of emptied the tank a little bit out of the pen, and again, they match up their lineup in alternating left and right-handed hitters. So that balance makes it a little unique from a pitching perspective, not necessarily the personnel, but the fact that the targeting and what you're looking at is different when the guys are on the other side of the plate and you're trying to execute pitches. If you're throwing to 4 or 5 guys in a row that are all left or right-handed, that's a little easier, and that's what we're going to need some of the guys in the pen tomorrow to do, is to navigate that. And Army, those are big pitches. That punch out, that was huge, and I think he was waiting for a moment like that, and he got it. It was great.
What are you hoping to see at the plate tomorrow?
Just better fastball timing. I couldn't figure out today. They were really doing a good job. It's hard for me to tell from where I'm sitting what is exactly going on, but it seemed like they were using their fastball and doing a good job of getting it in on some of the right-handed hitters. And again, we have a lot of righties that are up there, so I thought he settled in and did a nice job. Tomorrow we have to be more cued into the fastball and hopefully do a better job of recognizing the off-speed pitches. So if there's something that's up, that we put better swings and make better contact with it. It wasn't the contact overall today, it was the lack of extra base hit type contact. So we'll regroup from it.
I think Buster got to talk to the guys before the game. Just what was that moment like?
Well, the appreciation he had for Florida State, number one, and then his message on, you guys have an opportunity to do something that we all have wanted to do, and that's win a national championship. And he got chills talking about that chance and some of the great moments, and talking about the World Series, clearly exciting to him. The perfect game, I think it was Matt Cain, I think he caught a perfect game. So talking about some of the pitches that he was actually calling and trying to navigate a perfect game. And then he and Seth got into it a little bit because there's a picture of Seth Maness sliding into home plate and Buster tagging him, so they kind of went through that whole play. And then the guys just asked him some baseball questions, so it was awesome. And Buster offered that to us. I know he had a lot on his plate, and he said, "Coach, would you like me to talk to the team?" I said, 100%. So we dialed that in, and we did not take infield outfield today. In essence, I didn't want to affect Buster's timeline too much, but we snuck him in there before he did his media work, and I'll never forget it. And our team, those players, those young guys, they'll remember that forever.
What was it like sitting with 11 while Buster was talking about him?
I was just wanting 11 to enjoy that moment. You know, I recognize 11's impact on the sport, on my life and career, and Buster feels the same way. So as I'm sitting there, I just wanted 11 just to enjoy it. And he asked me some questions as we were sitting there, and we talked through it. And I mean, he's an amazing person, and to have a moment like that, weather beautiful, him out there, it was great. And I wanted this to be about Coach Martin and Buster, and I thought it worked really well. Our staff, I didn't have a ton to do with it. Jason Dennard and the staff and the big shooter and the people that navigated this, Michael Alford, this was a big day. And I want 11 to feel like that's his guy, that's Buster's his guy. He got to sit out there with him as Buster spoke. So it's just special, unique moments.
Awesome.